Hi there, welcome to yet another edition of Ask the AD. I'm Dave Forger. This is Athletic Director Greg Christopher. And Greg, we have a lot to talk about today. First, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you.
Hope
You
the
too.
The holidays go great for you and everybody out there.
Christmas
as well.
in D.C.
That's right. Yeah, well, we're working on that.
All right.
We're working on that. In fact, let's start with that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the bowl game, ticket sales, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have a good crowd for this thing.
I think so. We leave on Sunday. The team, we go on Sunday on the 23rd. The game's on the 27th. I'm pretty pleased with where we stand right now.
Good.
I think if you add everything up, ticket sales, the player parents, the band, we're closing in on or right around 3,000. And I don't have a ton of context on what that looks like compared to other schools that have gone to the Military Bowl. I know it's about double what we did at the last game in Mobile. Obviously Boise was a little bit different because it was so far away, but I did hear the Bowl tell us when we were there for the site visit about 10 days ago that Wake Forest a couple of years ago did 4,000. So to give a sense that we're at least directionally close to an ACC school, I feel pretty good about the fan support right now.
This is a good bowl, and Coach Clausen said yesterday that the players get all sorts of perks and gifts and so forth. So it's one of the better ones in that regard, and that's good. And all the guys get to go.
Yeah, I mean, beyond the gifts, I think what it goes unsaid a little bit is the opportunity not only for the practices like the team, an opportunity to get the younger guys in, but the opportunity for our team to see Washington D.C. We may take that for granted, people that have traveled here and there, but for probably 2/3 at least of our team, this will be their first trip to Washington D.C. So it's a neat opportunity for the team from that standpoint.
All coaches, all players want to win a bowl game, but in reality, at least partially, it's really kind of a prize for the guys, isn't it? I mean, to be able to play in a bowl game.
Well, it's an opportunity, one more time to be able to play as a team, and I think that's real for especially for a group of seniors. Again, I think one of the things that doesn't get talked about a lot are those practices. Over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, you've got another 15 to 20 practices, and coaches are pretty strategic about using the younger players, getting them some reps that they wouldn't get. So it's almost like an extra spring practice in a way for the team, and that's a great opportunity.
One of the questions submitted pertained to the game in Columbus. Your thoughts on the crowd there and how that turned?
You're right. The last time we spoke, we were headed into Columbus, and I think it played out pretty much the way we had talked about and what we expected. We're pleased. I thought the effort was, forget the field, what happened on the field. Obviously, we were thrilled with the game and the result, but the overall effort and crowd I would call solid. Was it a home run? No. But it was certainly a better crowd than what we would have had if we played the game here. The weather wasn't great. I remember that day. The best part of the day was about 8 a.m. and it just continued to get worse. So thank you so much to the fans that came to that game. But again, I thought it was a solid crowd. The one thing that has been interesting, the feedback we've received has been largely positive. But the crowd we got at that game was so different. If you look at the names of people that purchased tickets compared to the fans that buy tickets coming here, for example, we sold more BG merchandise at that game, with our smallest crowd of the year, than any game we played at Dwight Perry Stadium. And that speaks to fans that don't normally come to BG events coming to a game. So that one of the prongs, if you remember, of why we did it was to engage a different set of fans. I think we accomplished that. Now, do we do it again in 2 years? Because that's the next question everybody asks. Sure. I don't know. We're going to take a deep breath. Let's get through the bowl game. We got plenty of other things on our plate, but we'll evaluate and make that decision. Because again, next year we'll be on the road that weekend someplace.
Dave Clausen has done a tremendous job here. Bowl team, so on and so forth. And so there are rumors circulating that maybe he's being contacted by other schools, maybe he'll be going someplace else. First off, let's talk about the process.
Sure.
If the school wants to talk to Dave Clausen, do they go through your office?
That's kind of the old gentleman's agreement, so to speak. That usually, one AD would call another AD, and it's not always followed anymore. I'll just say that generally. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the specifics of talking about Dave, really, or any coach's situation. Sure. I don't know that that's appropriate to have that play out. But I will say, in broad stroke terms, Dave is highly thought of in coaching circles. That would be number one. Number two, this is now the third program that he's turned around. So I think his track record is pretty self-evident. Number three, he has been contacted, or I've been contacted, every year he's been at Bowling Green. So again, I think that speaks to his reputation, even after we were 2-10. You know, will he be here forever? I don't know. But we're thrilled to have him as our head coach, and obviously I talk with him often, daily,
Sure.
going
Sure.
on about his situation, where he sits, and right now let's focus on the bowl game.
I would think it would almost be the hope of the Mid-American Conference school to hire somebody and maybe not have him for a long period of time, because that would imply that there was great success.
You know, there's all kinds of schools of thought on that. I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's coaches or staff members, your situation is, you know, people are either moving on because there's not, because the program is crashing and burning, or they're moving on because they've got better opportunities at the other end, or the other is obviously you've got stability. And you know, whether it's you see in basketball somebody like Charlie Coles, you know, stay there for a while, or Frank Solich in football. You've seen examples of all across the board.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, where our program is today, Dave has rebuilt it. He's done a great job, he and his staff. And let's get ready to play the bowl game. Where that takes us long term from there, we play that, frankly, week by week, which is what we do in our business.
Let's talk about another successful team, the volleyball team. What a year they had! They win the MAC tournament. They win an NCAA game. You've got to be happy.
What a great season! And again, the last time we spoke, they were headed into that tournament, I believe. But you know, what a finish for Daniela and the team. I mean, to do what they did in Geneva, winning the MAC championship that way, you just don't see that in sports. You know, to be down 2-0 and come back the way they did, and then to go get the win at Penn State against Yale was a great accomplishment. Obviously, she inherited a really solid foundation, and we knew that coming in. And now, if you look at the recruiting, and I'm not an expert on judging volleyball recruits, but you start looking at who she competed with to get the kids that are coming here. I think, you know, again, we're in a great place right now. And I think this program is now built to last going forward.
I know there were some pretty good crowds for the games, and I'm assuming you're hoping that that'll just continue to grow, and that volleyball could be a very popular sport here.
Absolutely. I think we've got great history, great tradition, and some nice fan support if you go back in time. So that wouldn't be something that's new.
Right.
Is it good? Are they going to be crowds that replicate hockey or basketball? I don't know, or don't think so. But I do think that we can you know, build on the fan base that we've got for volleyball now.
And we should probably mention Denise Vandewally, because here for what, 28, 29, 30 years, whatever it was,
That's
helped to build
again,
the whole thing.
Denise built the program, and again, she built that foundation that Daniela inherited.
And I know the soccer program on the women's side, you'd like to build that. Talk a little bit about the new head coach there.
We just hired Lindsay, and I think the thing about Lindsay that set her apart was the passion she brought and the vision for inheriting the program. We were really pleased. Anytime you get into a coaching search, I think you get a sense of what the marketplace feels about your school, your department, and your specific sport opening based on how that marketplace responds. And we felt really good about this search and getting into it, and the response we heard from that marketplace, to the point where we had 3 terrific finalists. All 3 were sitting head coaches, 2 of which were Division I head coaches, and thought any of the 3 could take this program to a new level. What really set Lindsay apart, though, was the success in building a program from scratch at Eastern Kentucky, and again, that passion. You know, what's important to me oftentimes in hiring is who wants the position the most. When you are looking at a group of finalists, and Lindsay really set herself apart from that standpoint. So that program, I think, is headed in positive directions. But otherwise, our fall, you know, what we've just talked about here. I mean, football was successful. Volleyball had a great fall. Men's soccer we haven't talked about, but Eric did a really nice job. More wins than this program's had in a decade, I think. So it was a nice fall from that standpoint.
Shall we touch again upon realignment in the AA and
Seems like we do every month.
BCS. It seems like,
Something new.
but every time we come in here, there have been teams that have jumped from this place to that place, and even more since we talked a month ago.
Yeah, I think the latest one was the Big East, obviously, the moves there, and I'm not sure where it goes or where it stops, but John Steinbrecher sends us updates now and then, and last week he sent something, and his last sentence was kind of funny, and I won't get it exactly, but he said something to the effect of, "Isn't it nice to be stable?" And there's a lot to be said for that right now, and I don't know that I see any imminent moves for the MAC as far as things that would negatively impact us. So I think we're in a good spot. Obviously, the fall we had football-wise was really positive, and we're getting a lot of accolades as a conference for that. So big picture, I feel pretty good where the MAC is situated right now. And the other topic that I know was part of this question that gets asked a lot about it are these big conferences, the Big Ten, the SEC, so forth, the ones that are really separating themselves now with their rights revenue. Are they going to break away from the NCAA? And I don't see that happening. I see the media talking about that a fair amount, but anytime you get a president or an athletic director talking about that subject, they all move away from it. Nobody other than media are really talking about that in serious tones, because I don't think anybody understands from a president's point of view or an AD's point of view the structure you would have to replicate in starting a new NCAA from scratch is almost unthinkable, what you'd have to start over. So do they want to do some things that are different than what a MAC wants to do? Yes, and I think that's where the conversation is. But to start over as a new NCAA, I realistically don't see that in the next 5 to 10 years.
I don't know that we touched upon all these bowl games. Mid-American Conference with 7 teams. Let's talk a bit about that, and how about the Huskies?
That was, when Kent lost to Northern in the championship game, I think we all thought there went our BCS opportunity. And we were headed to Detroit. I think John and I have been talking almost daily. The way things were playing out, we knew we were going to go to Detroit or DC, and then after Kent lost, things had kind of focused in on Detroit, and we were kind of waiting until Sunday to get there. And then I was actually in Kroger shopping and get the call around Sunday where John was starting to get inklings that Northern might make it, and it was going to set into play a series of events, especially when you throw Shreveport in there too, with what was playing out with Louisiana Tech not handling their situation probably the best way they could, and that opened opportunities for Ohio there. Bottom line is, he says, hey, look, I knew you were probably tracking toward Detroit. I think DC is in play now because it gives us a chance to get Central into Detroit, and that was the right fit in Detroit. And our attitude all along has been any bowl game's a good bowl game. And Detroit would have been better for probably more of our fans, and DC, it was a great opportunity as well. Probably a little higher level competition with San Jose State, but the bottom line is we were going to be happy going to either place, and if it gave the opportunity to get Central in as that 7th team for the MAC, which helps the conference both financially and image-wise. It was interesting how it played out over the last 24 to 36 hours.
Just one final thing. We're running a little bit long maybe this time, but one final thing. What does it mean financially to the Mid-American Conference and to BGSU to have the Huskies in that game?
It's, the first thing is the number that gets reported is 20. It's actually 12. And then once everybody gets their hands in it, $8 million trickles down to the conference. The way we've set it up, Northern gets half of that, and most of that will be spent paying for what they have to do to go to the conference. So there's $4 million that gets split among the other schools. So we will get a piece of that. It's probably about $300,000. But then you throw in the other BCS money that we receive, some of it because of the number of teams we have in bowl games, some of it's because of the positive performance we had as a conference this year. That number is going upward and it's headed in the right direction for the entire league.
I think that'll do it. Very appreciate it. And we're coming back in 2013.